elsewhere within a year. And I'd really like to start with a quote from Richard Feynman, who's a very famous theoretical physicist, and he's just had some really fantastic thoughts about science and the state of science and on-take of new technologies. But he said very beautifully that nobody ever figures out what life is all about, and it doesn't matter. Explore the world, nearly everything is really interesting if you go into deeply enough. And I think that's quite pertinent for AI as well, because we have a desire to understand every nut and bolt, but I'm not sure that if anyone ever figures out fully what AI is all about, but it kind of doesn't matter. And I think we have to be very bold, we have to explore the world, and you have a lot of keen interest in order to go deeply into enough, because it's not the technology, it's the creativity. And as I said before, AI right now is sort of like a DV cam, and I'm this kind of a film school kid of the 90s, and of course, when DV cam came, the quality wasn't even comparable to 16mm, but it was portable, it was cheap, and we could make some new types of very powerful art and films such as 28 Days Later or Dancer the Tsar, which by Lars von Trier, which was shot on DV cam, but the one and only Robbie Mueller tamed the technology and went to spark the whole digital and HD revolution that came later. And as an audience, it actually didn't matter. So, as Veronica said, I am a creative technologist and a creative technological creative. I head a digital summit for our Prime Minister, running the Can Next, and in my own company, Storytech, we do all kinds of exciting things around creativity and technology. I produced 8 feature-length films and documentaries together, and with Kreshina we do a lot of beneficial research for film industry professionals such as you, and we publish it on a frequent basis. And when it comes to AI, I was recently doing our first mini MBA in generative AI at the National Film School of Denmark. The second program will launch hopefully either at the end of the year or in January. So if you want to join, get in touch, and we'd be very happy to have you. But ultimately, I spend about 2/3 of my work time either researching, thinking, educating, curating, or advising about generative and other types of AI for the creative film and technology ecosystem. And again, as I said in the morning, I think understanding how fast AI is coming into this space, I really kind of found myself from a perspective that rather than complaining or asking every day that AI cannot produce a feature quality film, or it's not Alexa quality, or this or that, and etc. I think rather than asking what it cannot do right now, maybe we can all flip the coin and ask, hey, what it can really do right now for us, especially when we are independent filmmakers and we are very resource-strapped. So, Benedict Evans, who's a very famous industry analyst, benedictevans.com, he puts out an annual presentation, and this year it's around generative AI, and what he argues is that although we don't know the end of this journey, the kind of evolution or revolution, if you will, around AI will be similar into the other types of technological major shifts what we've seen right now. So, well, in the 80s and 90s, we were all on computers and PCs, which very profoundly transformed the way how we edit, mix, and do VFX or even communicate with with our friends and family. Well, the 2000s were the era of the internet, and again that brought us not only global audiences but also streaming. And of course, the last decade more or less have been about smartphones and the transition of audiences from bigger screens into small screens. So generative AI or AI in general will bring us a similar type of a shift. And what's really useful about Benedict Evans' presentation is the fact that he also helps us to set some of the questions what you may ask yourself. So, of course, one question is how far or how fast this technology will evolve. And in that respect, we are there between two paradigms. There's all of these talks of superintelligence and HDI and what if not, where one computer controls everything. But in many cases with the AI, we're just talking about new forms and new tools and new forms of platforms. So it's just, to kind of balance out this fear of Skynet, we can also kind of deal with it, understanding that it's just ultimately more software just doing very powerful and specific things. On one hand, we have a lot of hype around the idea that, oh, this technology will come and transform humanity. I will not be so far-fetched. But in reality, right now, we are in a kind of a moment where we're building models, aka comparable. We're building like VFX or camera or post-production workflows that you're all ultimately very familiar with. But what is really interesting and what is very true and unprecedented right now is the fact that this industry is seeing massive investment on the scale we've never seen before. And Veronica, I wanted to tell that before when you asked about the differences between Europe and the US. I think Meta is investing about 60 million euro per month into AI development. So per month. So it's almost a billion. A little bit under $1 billion per year, so we start understanding how much money is going into this industry, and obviously that pushes it all ahead. That also means, in many ways, that all of these tools are getting better and cheaper, and finally, they are ultimately becoming commodities. Like you would launch Photoshop or Premiere or Final Cut Pro or whatever. This is exactly what's going to happen in this marketplace. There's going to be a lot of tools, and what we kind of roughly see is that we have sort of 4 big pockets of new businesses emerging. Either you're building a hardware platform, such as NVIDIA does, make it a commodity like AI for everyone and totally cheap cost in the cloud. That's Amazon or Meta. You can sell more technical APIs, either you're Amazon or Google, or you can put it into your phone, where it's a feature for every single customer. And I think TikTok and CapCut are really interesting examples on this. And that type of modeling is coming into film industry as well. And all of these tools run by Eleven Labs, Leonardo, Black Forest Labs, and etc. They're all heading that way. And in many cases, I think the paradox is that we're quite fine if these features are being launched in our everyday tools, whether they are from a little bit Blackmagic, Apple, or anyone else, or Avid. But we're quite concerned when they come from startups. So I guess we need to have a bit of a more critical eye how we formulate our opinions. But if you missed my morning's talk, then within a year we've come a pretty long way. And if last year we only talked about Sora, then right now there's hundreds, if thousands of customized tools out there and updates weekly. I think what's a really great benchmark, that Curious Refuge has trained more than 4,000 people from 171 countries, which is massive. We have already feature-length films with mixed workflows, such as About a Hero, which also plays here at Kannada. And go and talk to Piotr. I think his process, both the process of Piotr and Mats about making this film is very, very fascinating because they were quite pioneering to use that technology. We see also mixed films such as Antrastrap, produced by Taylor Arnowski and Tribeca. And we really see these native studios, either Promise, Verena Pum's studio, or some others, emerging very fast, especially in the United States. And if you haven't read the SAG guideline, please do, because it's a great guideline. And not only now there's the first AI film with the SAG guideline, the Echo Hunter, but it's really becoming a kind of a de facto document how people can work around AI safely and in relatively fair compensation. But what I wanted to tell now is that what has been a really big surprise for me is that the AI is kicking in unexpected places, and this was all about the workflows, what we experienced and what were presented as a graduate work from Armenia in Copenhagen. But to kind of show how far things have gone, has anyone seen this Liquid Death commercial yet? Okay, if anyone has seen this commercial, please raise your hands up. Okay, a couple of yes. So, how many yes and how many no? 2 yes?
I guess 4 or 5.
Okay, and it's about 10 no. So, alright, let's play this.
Good afternoon, son. Want to take a guess why I pulled you over? Oh, it's not what you think. It's Liquid Death. There's sparkling mountain water. Wow, you weren't kidding. That is refreshing. But it's not why I pulled you over.
Oh boy. Is it the busted taillight?
Nuh-uh. Is it because of the license plate? Nope.
Shit, man, it's the dead guy, right?
No, sir.
Is it the human trafficking, perhaps?
Nuh-uh.
Man, is it the truck thing?
I don't think so.
Well, what is it then? The robbery?
No.
The bumper sticker?
No.
It's the roadkill, isn't it?
Haven't heard of it.
The chemical waste?
Nuh-uh.
Is it the roller coaster seat? Is it the cult thing?
Absolutely not. Hell no.
All right, I give up. What is it?
It's because it's your birthday. Happy birthday, Kevin.
Dad, you remembered.
Happy birthday to you.
You're the best dad ever.
Happy birthday to you.
Yeah, so that's a kind of an example how how good AI gets, especially on commercial production.
You're the best dad ever.
So things have kind of come pretty far in summer 2025. So what we've kind of seen out of the use cases is really fascinating hyper-growth of tools, and there's a kind of a micro tool for everything, and there will be significantly more. What is very, very important for you as a filmmaker is that you need to really appoint some type of a person who's an AI tracker. I don't have a better position for that, but somebody who kind of keeps a table or a kind of an update on tools, update on tools on what the quality updates are and how they work, because the cycles are so fast that models are improving by weeks, and then if they do an improvement in one end, then they will kind of fall apart in another one. So I've seen on many professional studios that you actually keep an Excel sheet of understanding how much things cost, what is the quality comparison, and for which type of workflow the tools are available. And what I also said is that the problem for us in Europe is that the tools are and will be stratified, aka Webo is a good example. It was available in the US, but took quite a while to get here. So we have to lobby very fast the big studios that we can get access to them, because we are totally at a disadvantage. What was spoken in Cannes by a lot of smarter people than me, or people affiliated with some of the big tool building, is that technically we can make a feature film. That's not a problem. I know that there was one feature film around Cannes. It wasn't in the festival finally. I don't know for what types of reasons, but it was from a very known director, produced on a very high quality, and there are several in the works. So technically we can do it. Is it good enough? That's a question, but the estimates, for example, from Matthew Loran from Google is about a few years where we are there. AI native studios powered by filmmakers are very easy way to get financed if you have great creativity on board, whether it's Promise or anyone else. And we talked about IP and hyper-personalization. So a really interesting thing is right now is to customizing existing IP, especially on kids animation or kids IP, to personalize it for a particular child, and that's technologically totally possible. And multimodality, where you can kind of prompt audio, video, or things together, or operate with different types of AI tools in one environment. It's already arrived. On a third stage, think about flora and fauna and some other things. And especially for professional workflows, we see that there are these really interesting new positions or skills that you need. For example, you need AI colorists. What that basically means is you need a colorist who knows how to grade in one timeline, let's say a Sora video output, a Vevo video output, a Hilo video output, and something else. So like you would have a kind of a classical camera stock colorist, you need an AI colorist. You need also an AI workflow provider, coordinator, and etc. And with copyright already, there's two really important tips I would like to give you. Number one, if you want to work with scripts and models, don't upload your full script. Basically write a kind of a treatment of your script, copyright it, and then put it into the model, because then you have the copyright. Then you retain the copyright, right? And the second one is keep a log. If you're using AI tools in your production, there's already legal precedents where if you basically have a log where it says, okay, for shot number 57, this is my prompt, this is the tool what I used, and this is sort of the the output. You can basically copyright that, which means is that the copyright problem is also solved, and I've seen again in different studios, usually on Google Sheets and elsewhere, where you would have a tracking system for your AI shots, not akin to managing a VFX pipeline. So that's a pure way how to do it professionally. You might be familiar with Promise, but I'm not sure if anyone knows flora and fauna. So this is
everyone while we're here.
So this is quite fascinating thing. What we kind of now see. How many of you know flora? No one. So this is a kind of the coolest trend what's going on right now. Flora and fauna is like a web-based environment where you can bring different types of models together. So you don't need to basically pay a subscription to, say ChatGPT and then Claude, and then you pay something for Hilo or then Minimac, for Flux and etc. And what it does is that it helps you to link together different types of models and different types of outputs. So what you can, for example, do is that you can write one prompt and you can test 10 models at the same time how the visual output would be. And this is really, really great for storyboarding, for all kinds of things. You can create images and videos in one place. It's all basically tied into one environment. Pretty easy to learn, but absolutely fantastic where, this already starts looking like a professional's toolbox. Now coming to the monetization, we also see that especially on children's animation and children's content, there's a lot of really fantastic innovation. So this is a company called the Mini Studio. It's founded by French Lebanese founders. Everything else what you see on the screen right now is fully produced with AI on that type of fidelity. They are able to produce about 10 minutes of broadcast quality animation in 1 week, including voiceover, music, production, and etc. European company, recently just financed out of A16 speedrun in United States. And I mean, these kinds of companies are going to come in very, very fast. And without any type of advertising, they have about 1 million audience right now online and really are aiming to become, if not the next Pixar, then certainly the next Smurfs from Europe. It's a really interesting case. If you have a chance to see them, to talk, the team is 100% humans in a sense of they are psychologists, composers, professional screenwriters, as well as animators, but they just built a custom pipeline in order to get to this type of result in less than a week, which is quite unprecedented. And Veronica, when you asked about the way of selling and buying data or building your own models, Perfection 42 is a Lithuanian company that basically helps. They're primarily in advertising, but reaching out to cinema right now as well, and they are able to build your own LLMs basically on your own data. So imagine your own ChatGPT fully in your own cloud or in your own capacity, and just tailored for these use cases what you have. And their kind of ultimate aim is to build a model that is able to produce something akin to the famous animation Philippine sound. So, altogether, 4 key trends. We have from single kind of AI prompt artists, we're now moving into AI studio directors. We're going into workflows where we kind of prompt first and then write the scripts. Tools are already there, and what I would kind of encourage you to think about is that it's not purely AI, but it's something combined. So what I want to show you right now is from a Spanish production company called Artefacto Films. They run training programs and lab programs, for example, with Runway, and they have also had a filming competition in Rotterdam. But it's really interesting where some artists are starting to use AI to build fantastic artistic work. This is a trailer for a documentary that explores the journey of cobalt from the mines in Kenya, to our mobile phones and ultimately back to the scrap yards in Africa. And there would have been no way of making these films without the help of AI, both in terms of resources as well as its creative output. So, it's not only generic content, but a lot of really powerful creative work can be produced as well. Now, if you talk about some other major use cases, what you saw, at least in my cohort, was that, yes, advertising, more advertising, and there's, whether it's Liquid Death or Coca-Cola, etc., this is where it's kicking very fast time. Everything around pitching, stolen or borrowed mood boards, you are already able to generate pretty good proofs of concept for your own directors. Especially in the genre film industry, this is taking on pretty big times. We also see short film challenges. For example, the Norwegian Film Institute has a challenge where they're funding every year X amount of short films around the similar concept with different types of directors to use AI to see how the technology can be pushed forward. Animation, as I said, based on Mini Studio, the workflows are moving pretty fast and the time optimizations are incredible. And for IP or scaling, especially with synthetic voice, that's already a pretty established domain, especially after Emilia Perez and Brutalist. And what I also spoke in the morning, a fantastic case was where like AI tools are coming into editing, and you can generate an amount of shots within a day, or maximum few days, something that used to take for a month. And even in writer's room, especially when you work for serialized content or series, you want to use an LLM in order to understand, for example, what happened before. And last but not least, the festival barrier is also kind of broken in a sense that there's not been too much fuss about AI films in festivals, whether the Tribeca, Rotterdam, the PFAN festival that takes place right now in Korea, and I'm sure that an AI film will be soon in KVIFF and Kannada elsewhere. So finally, my kind of recommendation and understanding that we're running out of time is that I would basically say that, don't get too stuck on tools. What we definitely need is to have skills in order to manage these tools. And the sole hypothesis of our industry was that, hey, if we produce more content, we have more reach and more audience. But in reality, and as Ezra Eman, a dear friend and the chief innovation officer at NPO has beautifully drawn, is that technically we are in a moment of endless creation where there's so much content out there that and there's so easy to create more. We have endless distribution, either locally by streamers, by free of charge platforms anywhere else. But what is the problem is the one here, right? We have only 24 hours to consume content. So how do we actually address that? 2,500 feature films produced, but only 41 over the million mark. So clearly we have this kind of a content quality versus quality problems. And Sami Alpa from Largo Film actually estimates that we'll probably see 100 times growth of content in the next 5 years, which means is that there will be even more. So what we really need to understand at this moment as producers is our audiences are not anymore in a passive consumption era. What they really want is an experience. And we don't have time to talk about that more, but what you need to start asking yourself as a producer is, it's not anymore building a singular story, financing and producing it in 3 or 4 or 5 years. But you really need to start to have a different type of a thinking where the production is quite democratized or at least challenged. You have to start thinking about your IP, branding, talent, story reach, distribution, editorial voices, authenticity, what types of bold choices in terms of values or statements your film or TV series has. Do you have a really direct relationship with your audience? Because they are primarily on summer platforms, or if you want to bring them into the cinema, how do you bring them? And AI is really part of that, I would say, a web of questions as well. And let me also remind you that we're on day 2 of AI. It's less than 2 years when these technologies have been with us publicly, and we are here in a kind of a tool era. And maybe next year and the year later we'll just have an extraordinary tsunami of really, really bad content. But after that, we'll start formulating, hopefully, a kind of a group of storytellers who know how to harness technology, put our traditional stories and empower them with the technology, and then probably in half a decade we are in a point where it really doesn't matter how AI is used. So ultimately, in this hyper-competitive environment, your choice is not to fund more content, but it's really funding highly skilled storytellers and film professionals that know how to use these tools. And my 3 kind of commandments are, First of all, have an AI strategy. Your AI strategy might be even saying that, okay, by 6 months we just have to develop a rudimentary vocabulary around AI. You don't need to be a super prompter. But if you don't have a strategy, you're certainly disadvantaged. Number two, you have to be quite realistic on where it can deliver. So, don't expect a feature film quality production. But for example, think about how it can help you with certain types of ethics, maybe a project pitch, understanding how funding systems work, optimizing your screenwriter's time, etc. These are already places that help us to save money and time and help you to focus on more beneficial work. And finally, it's really hard to find great talent. The talent problem is exactly the same in the AI industry whereas in the film industry. So try to nurture great talent and skills, and if you find them and if you cultivate that mindset, you're certainly in a much more advanced position. And finally, if I started with Richard Feynman, I'd like to also close with him, and he very beautifully said, what do I advise and what would I advise? Don't be afraid, do what you get the most pleasure from, and then go doing things like that. And develop your talents wherever they may lead. Damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead, and I certainly think that damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead also with AI. Thank you very much. If you want to get in touch, grab a stamp of my QR code. Happy to answer your questions and stay in touch in LinkedIn and elsewhere.
Okay, thank you very much, Stan.